All right, what is going on, guys? It is time. Stage number 7 is actually underway already. Talk about bright and early. So stage number 7 at the 2025 Dakar is already underway. They are getting ready. Well, and I should say it is the commute. The commute to work is underway, and it is a long one today. They got to go way out. The actual start line is further than the finish line, so they're going to have to ride out. But we'll get to that in just a second. Very interesting. A lot of happenings going on, a lot of stuff going on around the bivouac, around this tablet thing. I have a feeling, and I just commented on this on the Spotify side of things. This thing is coming. There's got to be there. I think this is going to blow up in their face at some point, and we're going to get close. And it's going to get worse if the lead up front, the podium, that contention gets really, really tight. I don't know if they've come up with something, some kind of, how they're giving time back, if they're even still doing that kind of stuff. Interesting enough, I haven't spotted any cameras anymore on any of the tablets and any of the shots and videos that I've seen. I haven't seen that. So I don't know what these guys are doing, but I think that's a hot topic. And the comment on Spotify is, to me, that's very interesting. And in that is this now sandbagging, or is this actual issues with the tablet causing people to slow down? Where's the line on that one? And I know how it happens. I mean, I've been to enough rallies. I've been race director at Baja Rally. I've seen it. Not that they do that, but not the competitors there do that. But it's very easy to see that how the mentality of, if one person has an issue, everybody has an issue, and it's very that mob mentality kind of thing. And especially up at the top, if these guys are complaining, something interesting and a little bit of a. So I follow both sides for the organization, the app that the organization uses to relay information to competitors. I'm following both the FIM side and the FIA side. So for those playing the home game, FIA is the Automobile Federation and FIM is the motorcycle version of that. And so many people that are into racing, they understand FIM or they understand FIA. So they have their own kind of separate channels. Very interesting is that I see way more, like a staggering amount more of bulletins, up protests, things like that coming from the vehicle side than I do from the moto side. It's not even, there is not even a comparison. It is absolutely crazy the amount of traffic that I see coming up from the FIA side versus the FIM side. So I don't know. Is there other stuff going on over there? I mean, they have it easy. I mean, the tablet inside the car is not an issue with glare like what the competitors are having to go through. What time of day is it? You look down at the tablet and it's hard to see, or the way you're headed in what direction and what time of day. There's a lot of stuff that can happen that could cause a rider to have to slow down just because they simply can't see the tablet. And then, well, I'm not going to rule it out. I know guys do. It's been known as the Dakar swing. They even got a name for it. So it's interesting to see how things are going to shape up and how they're going to do. You're going to hear my dog in the background. That's Zero running around. He probably wants to be on the show. Okay. But that's enough about that. To me, that's the biggest topic for this because, well, I understand that the move to digital is here. The future is digital and all the other cliches that you want to put in on that one. But at the end of the day, it is a new technology. It was said in one of the YouTube comments, and it's true. Everything starts somewhere, and so maybe this is where we're at. But man, is that going to be a little bit rough on some of these guys, especially if it comes down to the decision of the podium. That might be kind of bad. Okay, anyway, dearly beloved, we are gathered here. Wait, wrong event. Here we go. Let's talk a little bit about today's stage because these guys are actually already underway. Let's talk about the timing really quick so we got an idea about where we're at. Now, long commute today for these guys. Just to give you an idea, 188 kilometers. Roughly, we'll just go with 200 kilometers. Roughly, these guys are going to be traveling almost 120 miles just to get to the start of the race, just to get to that green flag. So very long day for them and very, very cold. Everybody that I saw in the videos early on right now posted, everybody's in their snow gear, their super thick jackets. It's funny to see Mason Klein on his stuff. I'm sure he's warm, and I mean that's the name of the game, but he doubles in size with all the insulation he's wearing, which I don't blame them. I've ridden a bike in 40-degree weather, and when you're doing 65, the legal speed limit here in California, it is most definitely cold. There's a whole wind chill chart out there, but you're like dipping into the 20s somewhere around there at that speed. So maybe not, maybe even lower. I don't know. Drop the comments below. 65 miles an hour with an ambient temperature of, say, 45 degrees, which is about the average here. Somebody's got to know what the wind chill factor is on that one. Anyway, all right, let's jump back over to it. Talking timing really, really quick. Sunrise over there, 6:48 a.m. Sunset going to be at 17:34 for that. So right around 5:34. Time. First bike to leave on road section A. The control opening is at 4:10 in the morning over there. That's 5:10 p.m. here. That is when the first bike leaves. 5:10 p.m. in Saudi was the first bike leaving. 5:10 in the morning, which would have put it at 6:10, roughly a little under an hour ago. So the bikes are already headed out to it, to the start of the stage. The last bike scheduled to leave at 6:55 a.m., which is going to put that at 7:55 p.m. So we still got about an hour before the end of the bike parade. Then after that, let's take a look here. So this one's going to be interesting. They've split the stage, and let's talk about the stage now. So if you're on the visuals channels, YouTube or Spotify, the graphic is on the screen. But for those of you playing the home game on the podcast, our OGs, here's what we got. So this is one of the few stages at this year's Dakar Rally that they're going to have different routes of a rather large departure from the motos and the vehicles and the route that they're going to be running. So much so this time around, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's when you look at the map, it's a pretty big difference. So for those of you guys checking it out, it is the blue line that you see on the map. You can tell it's a bit shorter. It almost feels like it's a little more direct from what we can see, but you're looking at a 112-kilometer special stage. The vehicles are going to be looking at about a 419-kilometer special stage, so they're going to tack on those extra 7 kilometers for these guys. So everything looks pretty direct up front, and then it turns the other way around for the vehicles. But anyway, let's talk about it. 188 kilometers just to get to the start of the rally. We are on the top right section. Selective section going to be 412 kilometers, so roughly 4 times 6, 240 miles of racing today on the clock. Then they're going to have another road section to get back to the bivouac. Going to be about 109 kilometers for these guys to get back to home. Total day is looking like 709 kilometers, or roughly 420-ish miles. So very, very long day for these guys. Again, remember, we had talked about this at the top of the show at the preview side of it, that these guys are looking at running about 399 miles per day average. So this is going to be one of those slightly above average days, just like yesterday was. So taking a look at it, it looks like these guys are going to get fuel right at the start, and then they're going to go all the way out to the neutralization right around kilometer 89 for both vehicles and for the bikes. Everybody will grab some gas there in the neutralization. Then they will head their separate ways. Then there will be another transfer section right at around kilometer 288. Transfer section, guys, remember that is going to be a section where the course will jump onto, say, like a well-traveled road that they're going to transfer from one section to the next. So typically speed zones, that kind of thing, they'll have like a little restart there. In this particular case, it looks like there's going to be gas there for them to take on, and then they are headed back to the finish line. Arrive selective section, ASS, 412 for the bikes and 419 kilometers for the vehicles. So today's stage makeup, it is a loop. It is going to the same bivouac, which is rather interesting for the Dakar. Last year, the year before, and pretty much a lot of these recent events, rarely did you have a bivouac that didn't move from one night to the next. So this time around, it has definitely been a more stationary and probably less hectic for these guys, because man, it is such a production to move this, and I'm sure it's a cost saving thing for the Dakar, just even looking at it, because you've got all these cities, all these people that you've got to transport and move, from having planes moving from one side to the other, bringing staff from one bivouac to the next bivouac, and just absolute madness going on out there. So there's a lot of that. Last year, that was mentioned, you know, about taking flights after the stages and trying to get over to another part of Saudi. It gets wild. Anyway, all right, so loop stage today. Let's talk a little bit about the makeup of this stage. Going to be what I think is going to be another fast one. Dirt track, 79% of it, 10% sand, 7% dunes. So we're going up a little bit in the dunes, and then about 4% of gravel. So pretty well mixed stage. I'm willing to bet if I go into the stage briefing, we're going to see that all over again, probably a lot of fast stuff. Yesterday's stage, though, they saved the best for last. They saved the dunes towards the end, and that did get a little bit difficult for some of our riders. So if you guys saw Mason, Ricky picking up that stage win and benefiting out of this, but there was a lot of switching back and forth, and then it got into the dunes and it got a little bit trickier. So dunes is its own thing for riding. My understanding, it is not the easiest. To be honest, I don't have the desire to learn how to ride in the dunes on a dirt bike. It just seems like it's a handful. I'll stick to the sandy 2-track stuff. I like that, especially when it's wet. But okay, I digress. Let's talk a little bit more about this. All right, what do we got here? So we've got our stage. We've got our breakdown of the terrain that these guys are going to be doing. Again, first bike is already on its way to the start. Let's talk about what these guys are thinking for the first bike to leave on their selective section. They are going to be looking at 7:55 a.m. So 7:55 a.m. will be the start of the first bike on the special stage or selective section. That is going to be at 8:55 p.m. here on the West Coast. So we still got a bit of time before these guys get ready to go. They're on their commute right now, freezing their butts off, trying to make it happen. And then they are expecting the last bike to leave at 9:40 in the morning over there, which is going to put us at roughly 10:40 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast. So still a long way to go before these guys get started, but they're already out there. So very interested to see that. Let's see what we're looking at. They're expecting the first bike back. It looks like the first bike to be back to the bivouac right at around 15:08, which puts that at 3:08 p.m., 4:08 in the morning for us. So it's going to be a long one. But with that means by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we're going to have some results for stage number 7. So hopefully we get a little bit more put together and the vehicles are starting to finish and it gets a little bit better. But man, long day. So I don't know. What are we thinking? Who's we going to see another repeat? I mean, Ricky Brabeck, who's got, he had the speed this morning, made it happen. So I don't know. Mason Klein, can't count him out. He was definitely pushing for that stage win early on and then got caught out a little bit later with the dunes, but plenty of time to get another one of those W's. So we'll see. Anyway, with that being said, it's dinner time. It's been a long day. So I hope you guys are having fun. Leave your predictions down below. Figure out the wind chill thing. I don't know. What's the coldest weather you guys have ridden in dirt bike wise? And I know my friends from Canada are going to respond back with some ridiculous number. We should have a Canada disclaimer. Maybe. Nah, wait. All right. Who's got the record? Coldest dirt bike ride ever? Drop it in the comments. All right, guys. With that being said, remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.